Okay. This is a really brief video. Just going to talk about circumference and area of a circle. So we're on slide 4, or page 4 of the PDF, topic 8B-1. Okay. Circles, circles. Well, it pretty much lays it out on that slide. But let's talk about it in the video here. Okay, let's pretend this is a perfect circle. And it's not. Alright. So, yeah. So, we'll talk about circles a lot more later on. There's a whole chapter of circles coming up. And some basic, parts of circles that you should be familiar with. Okay, every circle has a center. The center is the point in the middle. It is equidistant. It is the same distance to any point on the circle. Remember, the circle is this curve that goes around the center itself. This is the circle. So if we take the center and we connect it to the circle, the center, and connect it to the circle itself, it doesn't matter how many of these segments I make, they will all be the same length. These segments, assuming this is a circle, these segments are all congruent. And then we can make an infinite of these. Now, what are these called? Well, it's called the radius. Plural would be radii. So typically it is designated with a lowercase r. So, and that is your radius, plural radii. Okay, so again, that's the distance from the center to any point on the circle. Now, if we take the radius and we extend it so that from one end of the circle to the other end of the circle, passing through the center, so we end up with 2 radii. So again, when we make the segment that connects 2 points on the circle and it passes through the center, that is called a diameter. Since the diameter is made up of 2 radii, well, the diameter is twice the length of the radius. So again, diameters are typically designated with a capital D. So D for diameter. And again, the diameter is twice the length of the radius. So diameter is equal to twice the radius, 2r. Now circumference and area, that's the meat and potatoes here. So the circumference is essentially the perimeter of the circle. It's the distance around. Okay? So for circumference, we have the formula C is equal to 2 times pi times r. Or, if we rearrange our terms here, we just covered that the diameter is twice the radius. So, sometimes you may see the circumference formula written as pi times d. Okay, so these are your 2 options. So it's pretty straightforward, because all you have to do is, if you have the radius, multiplied by 2, and then multiplied by pi. For this class, we're only going to be dealing with pi, the whole thing. So not 3.14, we're going to be working with pi, mostly. Unless otherwise stated. If the directions say pi equals 3.14, you use 3.14. If it doesn't, then it's pi. It's the whole thing. Okay, so remember, read the directions carefully, because if you know, sometimes those decimals can change the solution, and even if you're off by just a tenth, technically it's incorrect. Got to be careful with your rounding. It's about following directions, reading and following directions. Okay, so at least for this lesson, we're dealing strictly with the whole number pi. When we get to circles, again, read the directions, and now we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, now the area. The area of a circle is also directly related to the radius. For the area, we have the formula pi r squared. Now this can also be rewritten in terms of the diameter, but we really don't want that. So in this case, we're only going to be working with pi r squared. So there is a formula kind of like with circumference where you use the diameter instead of the radius. We're not going to talk about that though. Pi r squared all the way. So if you're given the radius, simple. Square it, multiply it by pi. Boom, you're done. If you're given that diameter, divide by 2, then square, then multiply by pi. Okay, so this is just an introduction to those formulas. In the next part of the lesson, we're going to look at examples that cover all of the different formulas for area and for perimeter. Again, square, rectangle, etc., regular polygons. We'll look at some more examples to give you more. So that'll start in the next video. This one was just to cover the circumference and area of circles.